Hey guys, this morning I cover a wide variety of topics, but the main purpose is to help distinguish the drug addict versus the non-drug addict. Hope you enjoy. When I first got sober, trying to explain this to to like people who aren't afflicted with addiction was a lot more challenging than I expected. And in the beginning, I was so excited about recovery. I was so excited to be sober. I was so excited to finally have a solution to the way I live that I spent a lot of time trying to convince people and trying to explain this to people and trying to get people to make sense of it. But after a while, number one, it's just extremely obnoxious to do. I started realizing real quick, just because now there was no wrong intention, but I started waking up and being aware to the fact that maybe not everyone wants to hear it out of the blue, or maybe not everyone wants to be convinced, or maybe they have their own way of getting well, and it's not really up for me to determine how one gets well and how I did it. And because I had this attitude that my way was the only way that's ever going to work for anyone. The bottom line is that's what worked for me. This is the only method that I'll talk to you about later that worked for me, and it's been the only thing that's been successful. So what I also came to realize was that when I first was getting well, or when I was trying to get well, or when not even that, if I'm being truthful, back when I started getting into a lot of trouble, with the law as well as with my family, and a lot of things started spiraling out. They tried to help my family, and everyone around me tried to help me. I mean, shit, even the person I used to buy dope from, one of my, kept telling me, or told me one time, he's like, "You have a problem." When the person who you hang out with and buy substances from is telling you that, pretty good indicator. And guys, at this time I'd only been using for maybe heavy for a year, and I was already starting to get signs like that. But to get back to the point, it's easy for me to get off topic with this or go on tangents, is that their way of helping was, why can't you just stop? Or don't you see what you're doing? Or aren't the consequences great enough? Or, or this, or that, or that, or that. Don't you love your family? Don't you want to succeed? Don't you want this? And the reality is I wanted all those things, but what was more realistic was I had no idea why I was doing what I was doing more than they did. And it was impressed upon me that, that I have a disease that's beyond my mental control, and that really didn't make sense at first to me. I didn't really buy it. I didn't buy into it, but it told someone who had walked more than a mile, not only a mile, but probably farther than a mile in my shoes, to really break it down that, I had no choice in whether, I got loaded or not, or whether I got high or not, regardless of the circumstance. And the way that they broke it down to me that made a lot of sense was that, I have this emptiness that I have to fill with something, and that really drugs and alcohol were my solution. Heroin was my solution. Alcohol was my solution. It didn't matter what substance I put in my body, to change the way I feel, it was all the same. And they kept telling, the way it was broken down was that if door A was changing the way I feel, by whatever means necessary, and door B was a promise of a new life, but was a mystery into how I somehow got well. If door B was a question mark and door A was to change the way I feel, I would automatically go to door A. And then it was impressed upon. Then they asked me again. They said, "Did you really have a choice in the first place?" And that's kind of when things started really making sense. And that someone had broken it down to me like that. And so reason why I say that reason why I go that in depth is that, I don't understand how someone can just drink a glass of wine or have one or two beers or occasionally get too tipsy or get drunk or, smoke pot here and there or, experiment with club drugs, whether it's, acid or ecstasy and just leave it alone afterwards. I don't understand. I don't understand that, and much like they don't understand how one beer is never enough. Like one is never going to do the trick, or one this or one that. It's like, I don't know. It's like trying to speak two different languages with people who just can't physically understand. And it's not to any fault of anyone. It's not their fault. It's not your fault that just because you're not a drug addict that you don't understand it. Well, that's what makes this world unique, is that we're not the same. And to try and say you understand when you don't is just, completely dishonest. But it's okay that you don't. Just like I have no idea what it's like to drink like a normal person. I've never known that. I've only known, balls to the wall, where it's like when I put that first drink or put that first drug in my body, it's off to the races, right? When I first started, using, I never just did a little bit, it was literally buying ounces and quarter pounds right from the get go. And it was just, there was no off switch. It was just go. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the podcast today. I know I kind of jumped around to a lot of different topics, but hopefully you guys gained some value out of that, got some more insight to my life, and can use that to help your day, whether it's through someone that has drug addiction, whether you have it yourself, or whether you're in a similar boat as me, and have seen the other side, just want a different perspective and want to connect. If this provided any value to it all, if this provided any value to you at all, it'd mean the world if you either liked, subscribed, followed the podcast, shot me a direct message on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Shit, hang out with me on Twitch. My tag is Boonafide Gaming on every social channel. Hope you have a fantastic Friday. Peace.